Going back about 25 years ago, I think about all the things that were happening in my life, and I always knew that something wasn't right, that there was something I was missing in my life. And whenever I used substances, I felt different. And I'll take it back to a time when I was about 12 years old, 12, 13 years old. And I just remember moving to this new community where everything around me seemed so perfect. Like everyone had the two-car garage, the nice home, the flowers in front. Everybody's family dynamics felt like it was all put together, and I felt like that wasn't the case for me, and not to get too much into the past, but I just always felt like there was something missing, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And when I would smoke and I would drink, it would temporarily relieve that anxiety, like that blankness that came with it. And this is why I tie my life to mental health. And my most recent book is titled Focus on Your Mental Health, because once I started to focus on my mental health, that's when everything came full circle. And that's when it all started to make sense. That every time I was using a drug or a drink, it was really just like that seesaw effect of temporarily relieving that dopamine crash that I was experiencing. And, when I wasn't using, I just felt like depleted. I didn't feel like I was there, and never could pinpoint what it was. But now that I've been able to really focus on my mental health and see what that looks like for me, learning about ADHD, learning about depression, anxiety, it all came together and made sense that every time I was using, it was to create dopamine that my brain was missing. And it's nothing that necessarily was my fault. The addiction calls and you wind up picking up, and that just happens every time. And in that moment, I was self medicating myself. I mean, if I knew better, I would have done better. That just wasn't the case. But as I look back on my life, I just recall so vividly there being glimpses of moments where I was able to reflect and knew something wasn't right, but I wasn't able to pinpoint what it was. And as time progressed, as the years went on, my addiction picked up and things got more chaotic. Consequences started added up. That's when it got even scarier because, everything just escalated and things got out of control. And as I look back, I just wonder, like, like, when I think about prevention, when I think about how to prevent someone from using drugs and alcohol, I take it back to mental health, because I don't believe that anybody says, when I grow up, I want to be an addict. When I grow up, I want to be an alcoholic. I think there's many things that happen over someone's lifetime, usually something early in childhood and a traumatic event as a teenager, that someone wasn't able to healthy to be able to cope with, and didn't have the exact resources and the coping mechanisms, the maturity to be able to talk these things out and have people in their lives to be able to bounce these ideas off of and tell them what they're actually feeling. And when we find drugs and alcohol, that suffices. It does the trick. And that is the slippery part of addiction, because once you find what works, it's hard to get out of that and switch up that behavior, because it's like you almost found your new best friend. And that is why I really like the saying, the opposite of addiction is connection. I believe that the more connected you are, the less likely you are to experience addiction. Addiction can be from drugs, alcohol, or you can just plug in your vice, whatever it may be. There's plenty of addictions out there. Now, when you stop the addiction, talking about drugs and alcohol, that is the most important step, as everything else could build from there. But when we remove the drugs and the alcohol, we are left with ourselves. And we have to learn how to live on life's terms. We deal with stress every way, every way possible. The difference is we don't cope with drugs and alcohol today. So we have to, so the more that you've been abusing drugs and alcohol, you have to learn these mechanisms, how to cope in a healthy manner without misusing substances and alcohol. And that is alone is a full-time job, because usually addiction starts in early teens and your brain is not even formed until, now they say, close to 25 years old. So think about all those learned behaviors that we have ingrained in us. And here we are when we get sober. There are plenty of people that don't even know how to do their laundry, that don't know how to cook. Like, we have to retrain ourselves and learn. And that is the beautiful thing about recovery, is that when you get sober, you learn so much about yourself. And this is why my message is that you're stronger than you think you are, because for quite some time we've been self-medicating. And when we self-medicate, we don't feel what actually is going on with us. It's that constant high, that constant low, and it just is a vicious cycle. Addiction is usually measured in decades, and it could take a long time until someone gets there. And for me, I had to go through multiple treatment centers, multiple detoxes, multiple consequences, until I finally wound up waking up and realizing that what I need to do is accept long-term help. And that is one of the things that's really led me to this journey, is checking myself into a long-term treatment center. And when I got there, they asked me if I like to focus on my mental health, if I like to see a psychiatrist. And at that point, I knew that anything that I was doing my way wasn't working. So I really put my faith in that person. And I said, "What would you do?" And she said, "I would check the box. I would say, yes, I want to see a psychiatrist." And that is just under 4 years. It's 4 years ago today. And I continue to live like my life like that, as I put my faith in other people. I have people in my life who allow me to see a bigger version of myself, who believe in me, who push me to go harder and keep me accountable. And that is a big part of it. And I don't know all the answers. I do not have everything figured out, and I'm still learning a lot as I go. And I'm just reminded that the more that I can remain humble and have humility, it's going to serve me so much better in my life. And every time that I serve with humility, it always connects. There's always someone there that, either their brother, their sister, someone in their life has suffered from addiction and now is either on that other side. And then it's like, well, let's find a way that we can help that person. And that is another important part of recovery too, is, for me, getting sober has been such a phenomenal adventure, where I've learned so much about myself, and I continue to grow and learn each and every day. And now I've turned it into, how can I help other people who are going through something that I've been through? And that alone has been very rewarding. Not everyone's going to get it. Some people, it's about the long game. I mean, that's what life is, right? Like, I had to go through all those treatment centers, all those detoxes, all those sober homes to get to where I'm at today. And sometimes I say to myself, I've wasted so much time. I could be so much further ahead than I'm currently at. But that's where I stop myself. And I remind myself that I have built years of wisdom. And now, what is my higher calling? How can I help another person by passing this on? And it's through my lived experience that drives my passion. And, for me, the last few years of my active addiction has gotten so dark, and I've done things that I would never do, even consider today, where anytime I think about picking up or going back to that lifestyle, my mind goes back there. It's almost automatic. But thinking about the signs when I was an early teen that I had and knew it. And if I knew what I know now, I would have talked about my feelings. I would have said that I'm struggling with anxiety, I'm struggling with depression. I probably would have found out that I had ADHD a lot earlier in life. I would have accepted help from a psychiatrist. I've always gone to a psychiatrist for the most of my life, but never to get what they thought I should be taking. It was always to get something that I wanted, and which was to misuse. And whenever I would go on an antidepressant, it was always for like 2 weeks. I would try something and then I didn't like the side effects and I would get off of it. And there was never enough time to let my body, find out if this is something that's going to help me. I had never had patience. I never allowed a psychiatrist to actually help me and formulate a plan for what was going on. Today, where I'm at is I don't believe that a one time psychiatrist visit works. I think that creating a partnership is where it's at. For me, when I checked myself into a long term treatment center, I worked with a psychiatrist for over 12 weeks. And week after week, we came back, we adjusted a little bit, uh, wound up getting assessed for ADHD. That's where I learned about all the warnings and signs and symptoms of it. And that's where a light bulb just went off and it just all started to make sense for me. And I was like, wow. I just remember it being such a pivotal point in my life because I had so many questions, but I didn't have any answers. And at that time, I finally found some answers and it all just started to make sense. And from there, I made a pact with my higher power that I was going to focus on my mental health, keep my sobriety first and foremost, and try to help another person. And that is something that I'm so grateful that I can say that I'm still on that journey of doing. I'm still figuring out life. A lot of good things have been transpiring these past 4 years, and I'm excited for what's to come. The one thing that I would suggest for anyone who is struggling with substance use and or alcoholism is to ask for help, and not because you're weak but because you want to remain strong. There is nothing wrong with asking for help, and don't stop until you get it. I said earlier, I don't believe a one time psychiatrist visit works. I think you need many weeks to create a partnership. I also feel that if you need a detox or a rehab, check yourself into something long term. The 7 day, the 28-day detox, the rehabs are great and they get you there. They can get you there. But sometimes we need to go away for 3, 4 months. Just get away from our cell phone, get away from the drama, and focus on our mental health. We need the drugs and alcohol to leave our body so we can focus on ourselves. And that adjustment period could take at least a couple of months, and sometimes 7 to 28 days is not enough. And I'm not saying that they don't work, but for me, they were almost vehicles to get me to that next step, that next point. And, I think they could be very beneficial for some people, but I believe in long term treatment centers. I believe in creating a partnership with a psychiatrist, having a therapist, um, working with people who are going to keep you accountable, having structure in your life. That is so important. We need structure. When we first get sober, we are a loose cannon and we are going to find ways to get high without getting high. And whatever that means to you, take it as that. And we need someone who's going to bring it back, allow you to get motivated and clear headed that, although the drugs and alcohol are out of our system for now, we can easily go back. And it's like, what are we going to do differently this time? And what I've been doing these past 4 years is just only taking on things that are going to serve me. If something is going to send me down the wrong road, I just don't entertaining it. I just don't have time because I've been there, I've done that, I bought the t-shirt. I know what it's like. And, for me, I'm very grateful to be able to say that I've been there and I've done that. but we got to do better. And asking for help is the first step. No matter what your age is, it doesn't matter if you're 12, 18, or in your 40s. It's never too late to ask for help. And there are people out there who devote their lives to help other people in need. Always remember that. It's good to have options. There's always options. There's never not a way out. And once you truly understand that and believe that, then I feel like everything else is possible. Don't give up on yourself. Keep going. If you're struggling with substance use and or alcoholism, don't stop asking for help and continue doing what you need to do until you get to where you want to go. Because there is a life ahead of you. You are so much more powerful than you think. You will be amazed by the things that you learn in sobriety. I never thought that I can get sober. I thought I was going to die from drugs and alcohol. I truly believed it. There were many times where I prayed it, and here we are. So it's possible, and don't lose hope. Keep the faith.